So let's go back to young Lindsay Lawler in Oklahoma.
We're going to do inner child work. Here we go.
Lindsay, if you could lie down on the couch.
Dig deep.
Get comfortable.
Okay. Is it a safe space?
It's a safe space. You are amongst friends. But
Thank
you so you grew up in Oklahoma, and you have so many different titles like online. Like we were looking at it. It's
It's too much.
Your resume
is
is
it too
long.
much? I don't know if it's too much. I mean, it might be the right amount, right? But do you consider yourself, I guess, a musician at heart? Is that kind of where we're in the safe space? Is that where your heart kind of lives, I guess?
I would, if I had to pick a title, honestly, connector is the word I love, because it sort of brings all of my, like, as a songwriter and a storyteller and a trucking spokesperson and a radio host, it brings all my worlds together. I feel like what I do very naturally, very intuitively, so to speak, is just like share, sometimes too much. But like connecting. I love nothing more than being like, okay, I love that person and I love this person and they need to know each other and we're going to do it through, via this through line. And so I love connector or host or, host, but not in a radio sense, in a life sense, I guess.
Nice. I'm curious, really young Lindsay, when you were growing up, what was it you were writing down that you wanted to be when you grew up?
Okay, here's what's crazy. Young Lindsay, so I just did an interview with, I just got off my show, We Should Write, which is a show about the healing power of writing. And my guest today was Sandy Knox, and she's a Grammy-nominated songwriter. And it was a total full circle moment for me because she wrote, like, Does He Love You? And Why Haven't I Heard From You? And she thinks his name is John, and all these Reba McEntire hits. And I bring that up because why it was such a big deal for me is because I sang these songs when I was a child. For some reason, as a child, I connected to songs about divorce and heartbreak, and I would sing them at the top of my lungs as if I was 7 years old and I'd already been through 3 divorces. It was very strange. And so
you'd only been through 2 divorces at that time. We should be fair.
Right.
Yeah.
I only did 2,
Gotcha.
exactly.
But you related to him, to the story.
I related, if I look back now, and this is what Sandy and I talked about, I was like, why is that? Why could I sing a song about one night stands that lead to devastations at 7 years old? And she was like, because you emote, like it's the idea of I'm connected more to like other people's emotions than my own, because then I don't have to deal with my own stuff. Listen, I am laying on the couch right now. I understand this is a deep dive, but it was. Yeah. I think songwriting and telling other people's stories is a way for me to disconnect with sort of my own. But I've figured out now. Good news, everybody! As an adult, I've figured out how to regulate it and tell my own stories as well. But yeah, I was an emotional child, but behind closed doors in my room. And my mom to this day says, like, she'd be cooking and I'd just be like standing next to her while she's at the stove, like going on and she would tune me out. And she said I'd finally grab her face and say, "Are you even listening to me?" And my husband says I do that to this day. So are you guys even listening to me?
Ashley and I are listening to you right now. We promise.
Thanks, guys.
I love that I love that word connector because, again, knowing what we know of you and then kind of going through your, resume and your social media accounts, connector, there's a connection.
For sure.
No pun intended or pun intended, I'm not sure. There's a connection between being a connector and everything you've done throughout your career. And we can run through these because, again, looking at your resume and looking at your all the things you've done, it's really quite remarkable. Can we start just kind of by talking about the music here? Because that is, I think, how a lot of people might know of you in Nashville and elsewhere. The music, I imagine when you first discovered that aspect of, connecting and that being a way to connect to people, I bet you that was revelatory in a lot of ways. Do you remember those moments when you were younger and kind of realizing, oh, this music thing is something that I really am connected to?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I remember looking back, I remember it being sort of confusing as a child because like I come from a family, they've always supported my sort of dreams and artistry or whatever you want to call it, craziness, whatever words you want to use for it. but they also didn't really know what to do with it because I was the only one that wrote. I mean, I would write a lot as a child, and I would sing into the tape recorder, and I'll never forget Sophie, my best friend Sophie in kindergarten, who moved away to Australia, and I just wrote this. I still have it, by the way. I wrote this it's painful, where I was just so sad that she was moving, so it was like, I think almost like not an old soul. I hate that term, but something like that, where I didn't really understand what was happening, but I knew it was stuff it was something I had to get out of me. And so I would write poems and I would sing. I don't really play. I play piano-ish, but I don't. I usually try to surround myself with really good musicians so that I can just sing, because I hear, like, even you guys talking, I hear melodies. And so I don't know what that's called, but I probably multiple personalities or mental health issue probably, but I hear different things. So I'm always crafting a song when somebody's talking. And so, but I think it probably wasn't till I put two and two together that I also love to perform. And it was, my family would take us, for some reason, we would go to like crazy spring break places at like 7 years old. My parents would be like, let's go to South Padre and Galveston and Panama City and take our 7 and 10-year-old. And, and I would get lost on the beach because I would end up over on, Yo MTV Raps up on the stage, like connecting with the college people. But I loved to perform from a young age, and would get up when we'd be at a restaurant. I would get up and say I had to go to the bathroom and like go find somebody that was sitting alone and sit down with them. How I was not kidnapped is a miracle. But yeah, it was something, I guess I didn't really know what to do with it, but I knew that I love to project, I love to connect, and I love to like feel something, even if I didn't understand what it was, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
I think it makes perfect
sure.
sense.
Yeah.
And it seems like something you knew when you were younger, but you knew it, but you didn't know it, kind of things, and then when you discovered music, I assume that was like, this is an outlet for me and all these emotions and feelings I'm having. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. Thank God for it to this day.
I'm always curious. You have a beautiful voice. When I grew up, I think I wanted to be a singer too. And if you heard me sing, you'd realize why I'm not.
No comment.
When was it that you realized, or someone told you, like, hey, like you got it, like you can do this?
I heard my mom say recently, I don't remember hearing at the time, but I guess my parents recognized it and talked about it. I mean, I heard my mom say pretty recently, just like a year ago or so, that they understood it. And so with again, they weren't in entertainment. So all they knew is I come from from Texas, a very like practical and conservative family. And so all they knew was to like put me in dance, get me on a stage or whatever. And I would sing in church, and I did that typical Texas balance thing, if it's even a thing, where I would like, sing at a country bar on Saturday night and in church on Sunday morning. And it was like, just put her in places. But it wasn't until really I went off on my own in college in Oklahoma, and I quickly became the song chair, the song leader in my sorority. I can't even believe I was in a sorority, because it feels like a whole different human, but the song leader in my sorority. And then I was walking to class one day, and I think when I really realized that I sort of didn't fit the mold of, I don't know, I wasn't going to go the normal route in life, whatever you want to call that. Was I was walking to class one day, and I saw in college, and I saw a Post-it note on a tree, and so professional, and it just said "band looking for singer."
That's how you get kidnapped. You talk about not being kidnapped, Lindsay. That's how you get kidnapped, by following Post-its on trees.
Guys, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
see?
I showed up at a garage.
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody's house, in a garage with a bunch of dudes. Smoking in a garage, playing music, and I was like, "This just makes sense."
Yeah. And you survived.
And I sang a Led Zeppelin song, and they when I walked in, they did not like me, because they were like, "Who are you? You can leave." And then I sang Led Zeppelin, and they're like, "Okay, this might work.
You can stay."
And that's for me, when I like took myself out of the conventional box and went unconventional. I was like, "Oh, this is cool. This is different. I want to be different. Let's go."
How many albums have you released now? Because I know you had one that came out last year, right?
Yeah, let's see. 1, 2. I've put out 4 or 5, then with several different, singles and other things,
Yeah.
Other random projects throughout it, different EPs and such. Yeah, but
And,
4 or 5 albums.
and if we're throwing labels, I mean, it's country music. Is that how you would define it?
It's tough. The one I put out last year, I called it sort of Texas country.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's the record I put out last year is definitely country, sort of an old school playing, kind of Western swing vibe. But then the one I put out before that, I'm a really big fan of Rihanna, and so I called it Countryana. Thank you very much.
I see what you did there.
Nice.
Thank you. It's essentially like it was fun, sort of more dance kind of music, or bops, as I'll call it, bop your head along. But then we threw a lot of banjo and steel and fiddle on it. My steel player was Hank Williams Jr., steel player forever. He's been with Jamie Johnson for a long time. So he adds that. I say that not as to name drop, but like it's the gritty thing that he does that brings this like grit is the best word I can use, is kind of this grit to the music.
Yeah.
And I just am really honored to work with some of the coolest musicians, the most talented people. So it's like bringing those different elements. And then I think it becomes sort of a genreless thing where it's like, let's just get some cool people in the room and throw everything on the wall and see what we come up with. So, yeah, I mean, I'm also working on like this country kind of rap collaboration right now with a straight up rapper from Columbus. And I'm doing a kind of a Patsy Cline vocal thing. So I'm sort of obsessed with creating something new all the time. Not even like trying to create something new, but being like, let's not call it something, and then it'll be called something.
Stretching your legs a little bit, your creative legs, I guess, so to speak. Peaches Holyoke, am I pronouncing that right? Is the name of your last album?
What is that?
I was going to say, I have it right here on the paper. What's with the name? What is the name?
Well, you're the first person, one of the first people who's been able to pronounce it. So kudos to you.
All right. What do I win?
You win absolutely nothing.
An explanation about the name.
Of an entertainer.
All right, I'll take that too.
You win a chance to keep listening.
There you go.
I'll send you the record.
All right, that sounds good. I'll take it.
It goes back to the record I put out before, actually. So the record before it was called 2 Peaches, 6 Cookies. And both of the names came to me like in a blink. That one was because, so I graduated college early, by the way, and my parents were so proud. And then I was like, oh, but I graduated college early, and I'm just going to stay in Oklahoma and be in a band and live with my grandparents and work at a paper, like literally like The Office. I worked at a place like that, like Dunder Mifflin. So they were quickly probably less impressed by me. But I lived with my grandparents for a moment, and it was like every Monday was chicken fried steak, every Tuesday was meatloaf, every Wednesday, et cetera, et cetera. And my grandfather had to have, after every meal, 2 peaches from the Del Monte can, and 6 of those little famous Amos tiny cookies, and they had to be in this pewter dish. And like if there were 5 cookies or 7 cookies, you'd be like, Alice, it's 2 peaches and 6 cookies. And it's so random and specific, but that was the name of that album. And so then we had another Peaches tie-in, and Peaches Holyoke sort of became my alter ego on the next record. Peaches was also coincidentally the name of my first dog, and Holyoke was the street I grew up on. Some may say it's also my stripper name, but you be the judge. I'm not a stripper. Nobody wants to see that. So yeah, it's my alter ego. We'll call it that.
I love it.
I'm curious, how does trucking fit into all this? You're obviously involved with it now, but when did that start? Do you have like family that were in trucking? How did that all come about?
So my father is an attorney. Boo. He says, don't tell people that. Don't tell.
Hey, we like some attorneys.
Yeah. They're not bad. They're not all bad.
He's good. He is one of the good guys. He is one of the good guys. And he actually works for the insurance and a lot of the transportation side. So yes, we did know growing up a lot of people, mainly like in insurance, and so I knew of that side of transportation kind of things. And so when I first moved to Nashville, about a year after living in Nashville, a family friend had booked me to come sing at their booth at the Great American Truck Show in Dallas. GATS, R.I.P. Rest in peace to that truck show. Mm-hmm. And we were literally like singing, back by the bathrooms and like in a booth. It was so unglamorous, singing Itsy Bitsy Spider to truck drivers' kids, but also very sweet. And I heard about the Highway Angel program while I was there. And I went to the president at the time and said, let me try to write you a song. And he said, that's either going to be horribly depressing or horribly cheesy. And I said, perhaps, but let us try. And we did, and we wrote Highway Angel, myself and one of my co-writers, Chris Roberts, and it sort of became an anthem for truck drivers and for TCA, for that program. And I started playing a lot at truck stops, and we developed the Highway Angel Truck Stop Tour. And it was that moment when drivers started at these shows would start coming to me with their stories and what they've seen on the road and like their struggles of being on the road. And I realized how similar it was to being a touring artist. We go through, I mean, listen, I'm not behind the big wheel of a cab and no one would want me to be, but the same struggles of, keeping up with your health and being away from your family or anybody really who has to be gone to do their job. And it became a real connection, and trucking sort of became, dare I say, a record label that I didn't have to recoup on. Like, it gave me a platform. The truck stops, the TA Petro locations, they were our venue. We did free concerts for truck drivers. They carry my albums in the stores. And it became a synergy, and I fell in love with the people of trucking and what we, how we connect and the similarities and also the differences out on the road. And they love to share their stories if you ask. So Be careful if you don't have time.
Yeah. When you say it that way, it harkens back to what you said earlier about the being labeled a connector, because you felt a connection to what those truck drivers at GATS, were going through at the time, many of the same things that they're going through now, obviously, for obvious reasons. But do you feel like that connection has become even clearer over the years as you've, gotten more involved and gotten more knowledge about the industry?
Yeah, for sure. Because I also, I really sort of took pride in the fact, too, that whether I'm going to a convention, having dinner with a CEO of a trucking company or talking to that driver at the truck stop, either one, I prided myself on being present for whichever conversation that was, even if I wasn't doing it consciously at the time. And so, I think I'm always wildly aware. It's actually helped me as a radio host and an interviewer get over any sort of fear of, like, if I'm interviewing a quote unquote big name, I can strip away anything they've done in the moment and remember we're both human no matter what you do. You drive a truck, you're a CEO, you're a superstar, you're whatever it may be. There is something there, and I always just kind of try to look for what do we have in common, because there's always something that you have in common with everybody, even if it's just we're both sitting here, And so I think that's a good reminder to everybody to help through any sort of insecurities. It's helped me with mine, just to be like, it's so basic. We're both human. We both were born. We're both going to die. And it's a really good way to cut through the noise, especially today.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to talk about your show, We Should Write, which airs from noon to 1 p.m. Central every Wednesday on Radio Nemo. Talk to me about that show, kind of where that idea came from as well.
So when I moved, I have owned the rights to just the name and the website and the idea for 17 years, and finally launched it this year. And when I first moved to Nashville, I know I never really knew exactly what it was, but when I first moved to Nashville, I'll never forget, I was at Costco having an eye exam, because that's where the people without insurance go. And
and you can get a hot dog while you're there, $1 hot dog.
Yeah. How many hot dogs am I holding?
Yeah. There you go. Exactly. They incorporate the food court into the eye exam. I like it. Yeah.
And the guy that was the optometrist, I guess you could call him that. I highly doubt he was qualified. Because
just some guy named Randy who just showed up, part-time worker.
Totally. Yeah. He's like wearing a monocle. I'm like, wow, how can I trust you?
He looks very dignified. You got a monocle.
Yeah.
So anyway, Randy's giving your eye exam. Got it. So
Randy, the unqualified, giving my eye exam. I had to fill out like what I did. And at the time I was singing at Tootsie's. That was my job, Tootsie's downtown on Broadway. And so I just put singer. And he was like, oh, you're a singer. He's like, I'm a songwriter. I just got a publishing deal. And I was just like, well, of course the optometrist at Costco has a songwriting publishing deal. Like, couldn't be more cliche. And so I went and started realizing people would meet each other and be like, oh, you're a writer? We should write, right? And it was kind of like, here it's like being like, oh, what's the weather like? Have you seen any good movies? Like, oh, we should write.
Small talk. Yeah.
But nobody really meant it always, or like you would say it to almost get out of a conversation or in if you actually did.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, we should write, right? So cut to being with Radio Nemo and launching this new platform and having, I think that, we're also broadcast on iHeart, which is, huge in the music community here. That's a great place for people to, it has some weight to it. And between having the trucking tie-in and the radio tie-in and then the music tie-in and iHeart as that platform has brought all those together. We're on all platforms, but that one specifically is. And so, it became a place where I'm like, why am I trying to overthink what this was? For a long time, I'm like, maybe it's an app, maybe it's and I was like, what I do is talk to people, and I have this network of super interesting people. Like, it's a show about the healing power of writing where we talk to songwriters, authors, and creatives of all kinds about how it's helped them. And now the show is not, I'm not trying to encourage people, tell you how to become a songwriter professionally or an author professionally. If that happens, cool. But it's more about, I believe wholeheartedly, we have to write stuff. We have to get it out from us to help us heal, grow, evolve, whatever it is. Got to write stuff down and not even look at it. I have found stuff that I wrote years ago, found in an old journal, found it 4 or 5 years later, been like, oh my gosh, I know what I can see what I meant now. We find like new versions of ourselves. And I just think it's really powerful. And for truck drivers who spend all their time on the road, meet a lot of people, see a lot of things, I think it's a really powerful outlet. Drivers send me song ideas all the time. I'm like, you could write this. Like, you write it. You can do it. I'll help you, but you can do it. So, I think it's a cool connector. And what's been really cool, like my guest last week was Larry Gatlin of the Gatlin Brothers. I've had Tiffany, who's an 80s icon. Like, I'm being able to bring together all my like friends and interesting people I meet along the way. And every perspective is different on, it's not coming on and promoting necessarily your project. Certainly we do, but even I had a guy named Jeremy Baker, who is he's an Army combat veteran. He was in the CIA for a long time and a PTSD survivor. And he put out a book, a fictional book, which helps him heal his PTSD through writing through this character, Dexter, in the book. And I was like, wow, I didn't even think of that angle. Like, so there's a new angle or perspective every week, no matter, the through line is that these people all write, but it's a different take on why they started writing or how they're using writing in their own personal life.
Interesting.
Well, and writing's such an emotional and personal thing. And again, not to keep bringing it back to this, but again, it just speaks to your, what's the word I'm looking for, yearning or your desire to connect with people. That is like a primo spot to do that with these folks who have poured their heart out in different ways through their writing, right?
Yeah, totally. It probably, if we want to lay back down on the couch, stems.
Oh, you got up? You were
not-
supposed to stay there, actually, Lindsay. But okay.
I got up. I get
All
nervous.
right.
I have
Oh,
nervous energy.
we get it.
So, yeah. It probably stems from like not feeling seen as a child. This is not a cry for help. I have lovely, wonderful parents, but I was a lot, still am, and sometimes felt like I needed to calm that. Same with high school. Same with relationships. It's like, don't be too much. Don't take up too much space.
Sure.
And now I don't care. I'm just taking up space, guys. I don't care. And it's healing for me. We should doing this show is helping me feel seen. And I mean, at risk of sounding super cheesy, I think, or like I'm, here for self-help. I think it is. I think we all just want to be seen and heard in the world. But we can't see and hear others unless we see and hear ourselves, guys. I'm just saying.
Love it.
Good advice for sure.
Lindsay, you're a connector. You're also apparently the queso queen. Is that right?
Do explain. I love a good queso.
I'm the queso queen. Man, I love queso. So I'm from Texas. Tex-Mex is my jam. I've always made queso. People come over for my queso. People get mad if they come over and it's not. Like, I think people just think queso is sitting out all the time on my table. That would be kind of gross. But actually what I realized today when talking to somebody, a guest on my show on Road Gang Radio today, she has this, but did you guys know that people will go, there's a thing called gravestone recipes where people will embed the recipe they were known for when they die. They will engrave it into their tombstone. Did you know this?
Is that what you're going to do with your queso?
Never
I
heard
am.
that.
Okay.
Well,
No, I've
it
never heard of
made
that, but okay.
I'd never heard of it, but it made me start thinking about, okay, if I passed away tomorrow, I know people would say, what food was she known for? Everyone would say queso. And then I had to think about, like, why is that a good thing as opposed to, like, well, she sounds really unhealthy. So what is the positive thing about it? And it's because I love people gather around my crock pot and talk. It, like, my queso brings people together. Plus, it's just really good, and I think that's why I love it. So I will share the recipe, but more importantly, if you come watch football at my house, there will be a fire going, there will be football on, and there will be queso.
Oh.
You put the recipe on your tombstone. You encourage people to come make their queso at your gravesite, and the people gather around and they connect and they talk about.
I'd rather have her alive and sharing the recipe.
You're right.
Preferably.
I appreciate that.
That's probably better.
I appreciate that. Well, some people have their plots already out and they're not there.
That's true.
So
That
we
is
could
true.
go ahead and just meet there, I guess.
You could just
It's a little weird, but
pop out from behind a tree when people start gathering there and scare them. Yeah, I like it.
It's not weird at all.
No, not weird at all. Of course not. Lindsay Lawler, musician, writer, radio host, connector,
Queso connoisseur.
queso queen. Yes, connoisseur.
Queso
There
queen.
you go. I love that.
I like it.
Lindsay,
I like it.
You've been great. We appreciate it. We appreciate you and your show, and enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah, it's been fun.
You guys are so fun. I love Trucking with Oida, the greatest produced show in the trucking planet. So thank you guys for sharing all your knowledge and your connections on our platform and vice versa. So it's really a pleasure, guys. Y'all are awesome.
We appreciate
Love it. Thanks,
Yeah.
Lindsay.
Thank you.